They expect you to stay quiet, to swallow hidden fees, put up with faulty products, and accept poor service as just the way it is. But you can demand better. Stand up, speak up, because with Which on your side, you can say no to bad business, buy with confidence, and get the service you deserve. Which, the power in you. Find out more at which.co.uk.
Where should you go on holiday in 2026? Well, these are our carefully considered top picks from our unbiased experts. Hello, I'm James Rowe and welcome to Which Shorts, the podcast that gives you a free weekly insight into our suite of magazines. Today I'm bringing you a piece that Which travel editor Rory Boland wrote for the January-February issue of Which Travel, rounding up the destinations to go to this year. Now, if you, like me, have had the January blues and have already started to seek out your next holiday, you may well have read a list or two similar to this already. But unlike other roundups that heralded the Scottish Highlands as Europe's last great wilderness, while omitting the Danube Delta and the Caucasus Mountains, or another list which included Brazil because, quote, it's making a comeback, a surprise to the record-breaking 9 million tourists who already went there in 2025, our approach is a bit different. We accept no freebies, and as you'd expect, we've taken a more thoughtful approach to compiling our roundup. All the destinations are genuinely better or easier to visit in 2026. Here's Rory's piece, adapted for the podcast, this week read by Rob Lilly-Jones.
El Salvador. Perhaps not the first destination you thought we'd start with. You're going to be surprised to hear El Salvador is safer than Argentina and Brazil. So sit down, because I need to tell you that this much maligned Central American state is actually safer than the US too. In fact, crime has been reduced so much that it regularly ranked as the safest country in the Americas. For you, this means that a visit to this natural paradise of Pacific beach towns, unique volcanic lakes, and Mayan ruins is finally possible. Start on the Ruta de las Flores, which winds through the waterfalls and banks bursting with wildflowers. You can drink freshly ground café con leche at local plantations, eat mangoes and mamones straight from the trees, and take a dip in volcanic hot springs. El Salvador's blockbusting attraction is Hoya de Sanren, a Mayan farming village buried by a volcanic eruption 1,400 years ago. The site includes rare preserved buildings such as the Temescal, that's a sweat lodge to you and me, and ceremonial shaman structures. And as with Pompeii, garden tools, kitchen pots, and the remains of everyday life offer a rare window into an ancient culture. Of course, you could just ignore all of this and head to the laid-back beach towns, such as Los Cobanos, sit under a palm tree while eating fresh, deep-fried, seasoned fish, or mayora, and drink cocktails as the sun sets. As with any destination where tourism infrastructure is developing, a trip here isn't without challenges, although not on your wallet, you'll be pleased to hear. Lunch, a beer, a taxi, almost everything costs $1 or $2. Paradise just got a little bit cheaper. Next on the list is Greece, specifically the Olympus Riviera. This 70-kilometre stretch along the sparkling waters of the Thermaic Gulf on the Aegean can't quite stand up to the stunning beauty of some Greek islands. But there are no Greek islands that also include a mountain of the gods vista for your holiday enjoyment. The beaches and resorts here stretch around the feet of Mount Olympus, home of Zeus, and innumerable ancient Greek, Roman and Christian archaeological sites, and one of Europe's most extraordinary and recognisable natural wonders. The reason Jet2 has launched package holidays to the region from several UK airports is unlikely to be because of rising interest in Hellenic mythology. but because UK holidaymakers want more options to dip their toes in the Aegean for a little less money than other Greek destinations. While the Olympus Riviera may be relatively new to UK holidaymakers, it's popular with Greek and Balkan tourists. So in places like Olympiakti Akti and Nei Pori, you'll find the stretches of sand, tavernas and bars along the boardwalk that you love each summer, but with more local flavour and local prices. Nor do you need to book a package holiday. Holidays start at Thessaloniki Airport, which has cheap flights from the UK via several airlines. You'll find affordable hotels all along the coast. If you fancy somewhere colder and closer to home, why not try Unst in Scotland? Move over Cape Canaveral. Many space fans who watched in awe as Neil Armstrong and co were pinged to the moon on the end of a warhead make pilgrimages to the Kennedy Space Centre. But from this year, you won't need to cross the Atlantic to find rockets being fired into space. Saxevord on Unst in the Shetland Islands will be Europe's first spaceport, if it wins the race with Andøya in Norway and successfully lifts off a vertical rocket in 2026. The site currently has no facilities for tourists, but that's unlikely to dissuade those who want to come and watch in wonder after checking into the nearby Balta Sound Hotel, the most northerly hotel in the UK. And you want somewhere even colder? Well, why not try the Scandinavian mountains? Given that the range runs 1,700 kilometres along the full length of Sweden and Norway, you can only admire the extremely long brass neck of the eponymously named airport in the Swedish Dalarna region, which claims the lot. It's been built to address one thing only: snow. Warmer winters mean holidaymakers are increasingly paying thousands of pounds for alpine ski trips in France and Switzerland to find little more than a muddy mountain. The northerly latitudes of the Scandinavian mountains offer more snow earlier in the season. SAS launched flights in 2024, but with arrivals on both EasyJet and Crystal ski charters in December, the dozens of alpine resorts with a dash of Swedish magic have finally become easier to reach. And finally, why not find time for a trip to the world's largest waterfall? Nearly a dozen luxury lodges, camps and resorts have opened or are opening this year within sight of Victoria Falls. Think private pools, swim-up bars and riverside suites where you can watch a bloat of hippos doing a few laps. New regional flight routes and a 24-hour crossing between Zambia and Zimbabwe, which share the falls, are part of the revival of tourism here, but it's mostly confidence in the stability of Zimbabwe. Victoria Falls boomed in the 80s, and the future is built on the same foundations of nature, adventures, and a splash of the spectacular. It's become easier to book holidays here independently, but if you're planning a safari or other activities, it's worth booking with our best-rated adventure tour operators: Exodus, Kuoni, and Trailfinders. In fact, until the 27th of February, Which members and Which travel members can claim £100 off with Which Travel Brand of the Year, Trailfinders, on any holiday that includes flights and at least 7 nights accommodation. There's a link in the show notes to find out more. And a reminder that offer expires on the 27th of February 2026. There's even more destinations that we recommend in our full list. Which travel members could read it in the magazine that landed on their doormat in December, getting ahead of the crowds. If you'd like to read that full list yourself, then head to our website. That link too is in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to this podcast from Which, the UK's consumer champion. You can find plenty more advice about what we discussed today in the show notes. There you'll also find a link to become a Which member for 50% off the usual price, an offer exclusively available to you, our podcast listeners. Joining Which will not only give you access to all of our product reviews, our app, one-to-one personalised buying advice and every issue of Which magazine across the air, but you'll also be helping us to make life simpler, fairer and safer for everyone. Don't forget to hit subscribe wherever you're listening, that way you'll be notified whenever we release a new episode of Which Money, Which Shorts, or another podcast that we make for you. And if you want to get in touch with us, then follow us on social media, we're at WhitchUK, or you can drop us an email to podcasts@which.co.uk. See you next time.
Looking to book a getaway in 2026? Why not try Which Travel Brand of the Year Trail Finders? Right now, Which members can save £100 on any 7-night or more holiday that includes flights. Just head to which.co.uk/trailfinders to find out more. Not a Which member? Get 50% off a membership right now. Go to which.co.uk/podcast offer to get involved. T's and C's apply.